Hey everyone! Today I'm going to be walking you through my watercolor floral soaps. This design is based on the same technique that I used when I made my tie-dye soaps. I will link at the end of this video my tie-dye experiment, which I called it an experiment because it was the first time I was using the tool that you see right now on the screen in the middle of my mold. It is an acrylic paint pour tool, very tiny one, and I'd never tried it before. Another soaper, the dancing soap dish, tried it in a single mold, and that really inspired me to try my own design. And I was going for a tie-dye look, and I used very different colors than what you see me using now. And I put a white background on it because I was going for a tie-dye t-shirt look. And I used neon colorants, the Mad MICAS neon color explosion. I probably have the wrong word. Color shockers. Their whole collection. I used all of those. And it did come out really neon. And it came out looking like a tie-dye t-shirt to me. The neon tie-dye t-shirts to me were more popular in the late 80s and early 90s rather than the little bit different type of colors that you saw in the 60s, or some of you may have seen in the 60s. I was not growing up in that era, so the 80s were what I went with. So anyway, I start with a layer of clear. The last time I started with a layer of white. That is the biggest difference between these, and then the color choices. With these, I was going for clear colors, translucent, really. Translucent colors, but bold. I wanted them to be bold enough to look like a certain artist I'm trying to go for. And that didn't work. So it ended up the colors were definitely translucent and transparent, some of them, but they just weren't bold enough for the look I was going for. It looked more like a watercolor painting. So that's why I went with that title. And I kind of saw going partway through that that's where it was headed. So I just went with the whole watercolor look. And it is. I really love the final product. I think it's wonderful. It just wasn't what I was going for, which, I'm going to put this in my experiment playlist because it really is. I'm still experimenting with this tool. What you see on the screen now, and I did this a while back, just hadn't had a chance to edit it and do my voiceover. What you see now is still experimenting, in my opinion. I'm still experimenting until I'm really proficient with a technique or a new tool like this. I guess you could consider it practicing, because it is, but if I'm changing anything, if I'm changing any element, then I feel like it's an experiment. So basically, these are just extremely thin layers of clear with 2, maybe sometimes 3. It depends. I've used 3. I know I did in the tie-dye one. On one of these layers, I think I did pour 3 colors at once. And I just alternate the colors. They go through the little end of the tool, the little hole there, the little cup fills up and it whooshes through the hole, and then the little dividers spread it out and it looks like a flower. It also, depending on the colors you're choosing and the look you're going for, it can also look like tie-dye bursts, color bursts, sunbursts, a variety of different things. But it ended up looking like watercolor in this instance. I do plan on trying to get the look I was going for this time. I think I said it was an artist. I think I told you it was an artist I'm trying to emulate. But I don't want to tell you what it is yet because I want to get it right before I reveal what I was trying, and then show you the artist's original work and see what you think and see if you think I've been able to capture that look. So with this one, by the time it is all finished, I feel like they look like watercolor greeting cards or mini paintings. Very abstract, loose designs, as sometimes watercolors are done in that style because they're a little less defined. When you get the water, the very watered down paints, and they spread across the paper and kind of soak up into the paper, I feel like that's sort of the look this emulates. And you'll see partway through, I don't think I've started it yet, but partway through you'll see me adding little dots of color. Maybe I did little dots here and there, and that's basically just to help fill the space, because I don't want any one piece of soap to end up looking blank or have any really big blank spaces. Although you could probably do some really cool stuff with that. That wasn't what I wanted to happen with this one. This tool, because I'm still experimenting with it and still really trying to gain some expertise in using it. It's tricky. You can only, the thin layers that, you have to have the layers thin enough to where the soap spreads, but doesn't spread too far. And when you pour a hot layer like I'm pouring here, it's very hot because I want it to adhere to the layer below it, but I don't want to make scratch marks. I do spritz it with alcohol before I pour, but to me that's not enough. It also has to be at a higher temperature. It also has to be at a higher temperature so I can get more than 2 flowers in before it starts drying on me or setting up. So that's the struggle with this one, is getting as many flowers in as I can before it sets up. And I did mention either in some comments and questions or in a discussion in one of the soap groups that I did have an idea and want to try a heat gun to see if that could help me remove the tool or allow the top layer to be a little more fluid for longer. And I kind of forgot to set it up with this. And for, I just, by the time I remembered, it was too late. I was already going forward and I said, forget it. So in a moment, what you're going to see me do is really struggle with this tool. And if you're not careful when mistakes happen, if you can think on your feet and if you can not panic, you can still save the soap. I had a moment coming up where it was such a mess. It could have ruined the whole soap. Had I panicked and really tried to pull quickly and try to remove the tool or jerk it out of there, I would have ripped up an entire layer and probably at least have ruined a lot of work. I might have been able to scrape the full layer off and start over on that layer. I don't know. I'm not sure. But either way, I guess the reason I'm bringing that up is I left it in because I wanted you to see that you can save things many times if you have a mistake or if you have something that you're struggling with. The mark that's left by my struggle with it is pretty significant because it's not just pulling where the tool is, it pulls the whole top thin film that's forming as that soap is setting up. And that pulls up, you'll see it in the film or in the video. And here, this one, I just kind of, there's a fix I did. I'm just kind of pulling the soap out where it didn't pull out. And the reason it happens, sometimes I let it go. I let one happen and you think, okay, I'll stop now. If the tool sticks, sometimes I'll try another one and you might think, oh, dummy, come on. You're done now. It's drying, but it doesn't dry even or set up evenly sometimes. You do see me turning. Did you see just now in the video, I turned the mold? That's because my table's not quite even, and it's just barely uneven, but it's enough to where sometimes the soap is set up in one part of the mold and not the other. Same goes with the temperature of the room. If the AC is on, it's one side's going to cool a little bit more than the other. Although I usually tend to turn it off when I'm filming, but it's still not always even and equal in my house. So there are a few different things I struggle with this one. But basically, you just see me other than when it gets stuck in there, you see me pouring 2 colors mostly. I may have done 3 at one point. I think I already said that. But just pouring, alternating the colors, and they make little stripes and they make little outlines. That's what defines the look of the flower. Is having the second color. Some of them, sometimes here's the struggle. It's stuck and it's pulling. I don't know if you can see in there. It's pulling the film almost halfway across the whole soap. If you can see the lines that it's creating, like a web almost. And it sticks to everything I do, including my finger. I finally got it off of my finger. And then I thought, okay, I can cut it with this knife. And yeah, there was no way. It was going to pull everything. So I said, well, let's see what we can do and see if we can salvage it with really hot soap over this layer, because all I needed to do is melt the part that is looking like a little bit of a web. And that did it. That's totally saved it. There is a little string you see that is left, that little part I was trying to cut off with the knife, and it just tends to blend in with the rest of the design, since watercolor is loosely defined. It's not heavily, unless you're going back with artist pens or something and really, really defining it. The watercolor, much of the watercolor look is not really quite abstract, but definitely a fuzzier, less defined look. Boy, words are not happening for me well today, so please forgive me for that. I know some of you've purchased this tool after seeing a couple of different videos with this, and I really hope, if you haven't, that you try it. It's really cheap. I don't know, I think $4 or $5, something like that. And then you can get a larger pack for not very much as well, which is on my way to its house. Wait, on its way to my house. Words. Because I want to play a lot more. I have so many ideas with this one, other than the one I was trying to do here. That's the artist rendition I was talking about, an artist installation. There's other ideas I've had since then. And so you'll probably see several of these with different themes and different looks to them. The biggest trick for me is again working with the setting up of the soap quickly. So I'll be playing with that. I'll be playing with temperatures. I eventually will try the heat gun, probably on a single mold instead of a great big slab mold like this one. And I think I'm about ready to rotate it again. I end always, as always, I ended with a final coat of clear over the top, which just really smooths everything out and makes it feel like one piece, rather than a bunch of individual layers. And here we go. You see how bright and brilliant the red and yellow are. That's kind of more the look I was going for with that you'll see down the road. Less of the kind of muted, very transparent, diffused colors that you see with the rest of the colors. I kind of like how the red stands out from the rest in this one. But yeah, it just didn't work for what I was going for. I keep doing soaps that don't require my Uncle Andy's, even though it's my favorite way to cut. The cheese knife, the double-bladed cheese knife, I think I showed you in the last soap video that I released, is really a great tool, not only for cutting 23-pound blocks of soap. That one really saves my back and shoulders. That's helped me quite a bit. But also for, cutting up slab soaps. I don't have any kind of a slab cutter like cold process soap makers have those log splitters or whatever they call them, slab splitters. Which there's no way they'd work on melt and pour because it's just too hard. That's why you see people struggling with something to cut the soap with. If they try to use cold process soap cutters, they usually just don't work. They'll break the strings or it just won't go through. So I beveled every side of each of these, but I didn't do the whole thing on camera, but it really helps the look of these, especially the clear ones like this. It just looks makes it look more like glass art, which, like I said, isn't really what watercolor is, but it just gives it a finished look, I think. You'll see in a minute I'll start spraying them and bring them up close so you can get an idea. Some of the flowers are so faint in here, and that's part of the reason I chose to go with watercolor for the theme rather than what I was going for. Is they almost look like little ghost flowers. I don't know if you know what a ghost crystal is, but it's a crystal embedded in another crystal, and you can barely see it there. It's just barely visible, like a ghost, or a ghost image of something. And a lot of those show up that way in this soap, where especially the colors that had a little bit more of the glitter in them. The sparkle, it really, really looks cool. But, I'm kind of moving them fast for you to see. If you haven't tried this tool, I recommend getting one and trying it because it's fun to play with. If you have, please let me know. I would love to see what you've done with this tool. Even if it's just an attempt in a single mold or a few in a larger mold or something, even if it's a mess, show me anyway. Because you're seeing a lot of struggles that I've made, and I'll show you my messes too. I'm trying not to edit everything out that is a mistake because we all make them. And particularly in a soap when I'm experimenting with something, but I even make mistakes when I know better. It just happens. We're human, and we all do boo-boos. So these came out so pretty. I feel like they look like cards. I don't know. That's just my impression. Let me know what you think of them, and let me know if this is something you would try, either on large scale, not huge, but larger scale like this with a big mold, or in individual molds. I heard somebody asking about that the other day, and it absolutely works in the smaller molds. I haven't played with that a lot, but I plan to down the road. I share a lot of the pictures in here with you because they're so individual. They really just each look like a work of art. So I wanted to showcase a few of them. I didn't show every single one, but I showed a lot of them because I liked them. In the comments, please, like I said, let me know what you think. What do you think they look like? Do they look like watercolor or something else to you? Do they look like just a hot mess of flowers that somebody dropped? And hopefully you've learned something from watching this. I've rambled a lot today, and I apologize, but that's just where my brain is today. That's where my brain is many days. So hopefully at least you get something out of seeing me make the soap and using the tools, and utilizing different colors. I will put the colors in the description. Thank you so much. I appreciate you stopping by. Have a great day. Bye.